Tonight, Farm Fest back for its biggest year yet.
A shop owner in dire straits over a vape crackdown.
Claims the Miles government is putting school kids last.
And Stanthorpe winemakers rejoice at the frosty conditions.
This is 7 News with Brough and Joanne Desmond.
Good evening, thanks for joining us.
Good evening.
Well, the gates officially open today for the 49th Farm Fest, and it's already being labelled the best yet. One piece of machinery was in a field of its own, with a price tag of a cool $1.3 million.
On 26 hectares, a record number of exhibitors are set up, ready to sell their goods. Traffic was banked up early this morning.
You really have to be here because people come here once a year, in some cases, to get everything they need to run their business.
Farm Fest is one of the biggest growing agricultural events in Australia. The economic benefit for the state in accommodation and hospitality is in the millions.
About $120,000 in deals done per exhibitor on average at the event.
More than 50,000 people are expected to walk these stalls over the next 3 days, looking from everything from education to machinery. In the Elders tent, there's free guest speakers giving seminars.
We had one this morning about irrigation and water use efficiency.
There's also diggers, drones and tractors on display. This John Deere header fetching $1.3 million. For most farmers, it's about getting bang for your buck.
The machinery has gone up quite a bit over the last 2 or 3 years, so return on investment and probably service back up as well.
For others, coming to Farm Fest is an annual social event.
I didn't even know he was coming, so just bumped into him.
From elderly to the young, there is something for everyone. But the first day was a lot to handle for some furry guests.
We love Farm Fest!
Olivia Babb, 7 News.
A Toowoomba vape store owner says he's at breaking point and has had to put off staff due to national bans on vapes. But Federal Health Minister Mark Butler is standing firm on banning vapes from being bought in stores.
King Vapor Lot provides an alternative option for people trying to quit cigarettes in Toowoomba.
I get a lot of gratification every day helping people not only quit cigarettes, but now we're getting an influx of disposable users come in, asking us to help them get off disposables.
But a recent ban by the federal government has seen the shop unable to sell vapes, costing it tens of thousands of dollars in lost sales.
At least 70%. We used to have predominantly 2 full-time workers here behind our shelves. Now it's just me.
The thing to remember is that vapes are not regulated, so the contents of what's in one vape to the next varies significantly.
King Vapor Lot owner Craig Farquharson has had no choice but to have to lay off staff.
It's heartbreaking because these people have become like family. I mean, it's my wife and I running the store. We've had staff working for us for years.
He is calling on the federal government to continue to allow retailers to sell them in a controlled setting. But Federal Health Minister Mark Butler has stood firm, saying he hopes the legislation is passed in Parliament and those who want to quit smoking should see their GP for a prescription.
If people would choose to quit smoking, please have a chat with your general practitioner. There's many avenues.
Ben Meehan, 7 News.
The state opposition has slammed the government's Putting Queensland Kids First plan, saying it's a knee-jerk reaction to a rise in school absences through suspension. Between 2022 and 23, the number of school suspensions jumped an average of 13%.
More students spent time on suspension from school in the year to 2023, and the opposition says it's a worrying trend.
We've got total SDAs, which are up 5%. Short suspensions are up 5.2%, exclusions are up 9.3%.
First Nations disciplinary absences also rose in the same period by nearly 8%.
Often children who come from severely disadvantaged backgrounds, so by the time they get to school they have high needs or they are presenting with really complex behaviours.
Education Minister Di Farmer says these students present risks that leave teachers no option but to discipline and suspend them.
We have teachers every single day reporting physical and verbal abuse, and that's just simply not acceptable.
More than 24,000 suspensions and exclusions from school resulted from property damage and causing a risk to others.
Frontline principals and teachers are telling me that they're not getting the resources that they need within their schools, and that there are issues to do with student behaviour which are becoming more and more problematic.
The Minister says the government's approach to managing student behaviour has involved addressing poor performance while respecting students' human rights.
We need to actually solve that issue. We need to work out how to address the rights of those children, but also the rights of the teachers. A complex problem, but we are addressing it head on.
But the opposition says the government isn't listening to teachers at all.
The government hasn't been listening to frontline teachers and principals. They're starting to have round tables, but after nearly a decade in power.
Christian Penny, 7 News.
Young people from culturally diverse and refugee backgrounds in Toowoomba will benefit from $120,000 in funding from the state government. It'll provide one new youth worker to help teens settle into life in Australia under a one-year trial.
Match fled Africa for a better life in Australia in 2011 and now calls Toowoomba home.
I was born in Kakuma in a refugee camp.
He is a youth mentor in the Queensland African Communities Council, which provides assistance to survivors of torture and trauma and helps young people settle into the region.
When we talk about settling into a place where there's a fair bit you need to sort out. You need to look at housing, you need to look at employment, schooling.
The council relies on volunteers, but now thanks to a state government grant, it can provide one-on-one support for 12 months from July 1.
Well, we're here in Toowoomba today to announce a fantastic program with the Queensland African Communities Council called Empowering Youth to Empower Communities. And it's $120,000 in funding to employ a full-time youth worker.
Sport is also going to be a big part of the program to give participants a hobby they love while making new friends.
Why soccer? Well, soccer is what we play already. Soccer, it's such a unique sport because it's a sport you don't necessarily need a football to play with.
It's not only about keeping healthy, it's about good mental health well-being as well.
Ben Meehan, 7 News.
Well, Toowoomba Regional Council has reopened the Greenmount Waste Facility after extensive rehabilitation works. The Joe Wagner Group excavated and buried years of waste to permanently close the landfill site. The new facility will be a much cleaner operation with waste stored in designated areas and in bins before it is transported to off-site locations for recycling.
We've experienced our coldest morning since last winter. Winemakers near Stanthorpe have welcomed the cool weather, ensuring grapevines can redevelop before spring.
This might look like a sprinkle of snow, but it's frost at a Stanthorpe winery. Mike Hayes recorded a temperature of minus 3.5 degrees this morning.
It's very cold. It's not good for the toes and the fingers when you're pruning in the morning.
Southern Queensland has experienced the coldest morning since last winter. In Kingaroy, it was minus 0.1 degrees Celsius overnight. That's 5 degrees below the June average. Oakey shivered through 0.5. Wellcamp Airport dipped to 0.3 degrees. And at Warwick and Dalby, it was 1.1. The big thermometer at Stanthorpe recorded minus 1.6 this week.
The June temperature record in Stanthorpe itself is minus 10.6 degrees, so not quite there yet.
It's a welcome change in season for Hayes at the Balancing Heart Vineyard.
The vine, as it's being deciduous, it loses its leaves in the wintertime, so the colder the better.
After 45 years as a winemaker, he's noticing a change in climate.
We're now seeing frost coming a lot later, so they're starting to come in May and even June.
Warmer conditions are a major threat to wine-growing regions everywhere.
Within the next 30 or 40 years, some of those hot, irrigated and valleys that are growing grapes around Australia and around the world, they'll disappear.
Josh van Staden, 7 News.
Overhead tonight in 7 News, scientists discover a new way to monitor children's brain health.
And Penny McKinlay reveals where we can still find some autumn colour. Nice having you with us here on 7 News. Well, an Ozfish Gundawindi fishing competition at McIntyre River begins this Friday to help remove invasive carp species. There'll be the chance to win $15,000 in prizes, and this year there's a female angler category to promote women in recreational fishing. To sign up for the 3-day event, visit the OzFish website.
Queensland researchers are using AI to help detect developmental delays in children. They've created a computer program that monitors kids' brains while they sleep.
This computer-generated growth chart is changing the way children's development is monitored.
We use artificial intelligence to determine the age of the brain, not the age of the child.
It was tested as part of a study conducted by QIMR Berghofer. Around 2,000 kids were monitored while they slept.
Using the electroencephalogram, which is a measurement of your brain activity.
An AI program then uses the data to estimate the brain's age compared to the actual age of the child.
What the AI is able to do is actually able to look at the waveform at a millisecond level and really try and tease out some of these fluctuations that are occurring.
It helps determine whether the child is progressing normally and can detect any delays faster. The study varies from the usual indicators paediatricians look at, such as speech, height and weight. Researchers say this new tool is an exciting step forward to better understanding the developing brain.
Supporting when a child's brain is still developing and putting resources in place at that time will actually be the thing that will make a difference.
Rebecca Jensen, 7 News.
Time for our garden segment now, and tonight Penny's checking out the autumn colours still lingering across the downs.
Now, autumn to me is a more vibrant time of the year than spring, and isn't it magnificent? Now, I'm standing under a Pistacia chinensis, an ornamental one, not the nut, at Boaraba Living in Pittsworth. Now, these pistachios, they do a lovely shade tree. Look at the colours of their leaves, and they also get a red berry into the bargain. They're not grafted, they're reasonably quick growing, and they're long living. And look at the colours they give you in the autumn. Now, this is a shrub that turns gold in the autumn. This is a flowering pomegranate. You get the magnificent gold in the autumn, but in the summer you get double orange or striped pink flowers that are absolutely beautiful. Frost resistant, tough as old Harry. We've got one more to show you. This is one of my favourites. This is a Virginia creeper, a Parthenocissus. Now, this one is on an old fence in a historic homestead in Pittsworth, and it would have been here for over 100 years. All of them, they turn the beautiful colours, they drop their leaves, and in comes that winter sun, and it warms the cockles of your heart. This is Penny McKinlay for 7 News.
Oh, thanks for that, Penny. You certainly have a way with words. Warms the cockles of your heart.
Like the origin tomorrow night, that gets to the heart.
Should hear Penny's stories on old Harry too. He was something else, eh? Our Maroon men have wrapped it up. Last training session, Nathan.
Yeah, they have indeed, Brough, and Coach Billy Slater, he just wants Selwyn Cobbo to be Selwyn Cobbo when the Cherbourg Hornets unleashed off the bench tomorrow night. We'll have more on that next. And will the hot boot of the Thunder's captain continue at Clive Berghofer Stadium this weekend?
Stream 7 News anywhere, anytime, live and on demand on 7plus. And with 7news.com.au, you'll know the news now.
And welcome back. Well, the Queensland Maroons have just wrapped up their captain's run at the site of tomorrow night's opening origin in Sydney against New South Wales. Maroons coach Billy Slater addressed the media for the last time this morning, and one of the build-up's biggest talking points is how he'll use Cherbourg Hornets Selwyn Cobbo as that bench utility in Game 1.
Where that is, we've got a bit of an idea around that, but that might change as well. Selwyn's been great. Selwyn's he's really matured over the last couple of years. He's a wonderful player. He can play a number of positions, and at the end of the day, you just want Selwyn Cobbo out on the field.
Meanwhile, the Queensland and New South Wales women's sides are tonight in Newcastle, the site of their second Origin showdown on Thursday night. Earlier this week, it was confirmed that the game is a sellout and will set the new record crowd for a women's game. The Maroons, they must win to ensure Game 3 is a decider in Townsville. The South West Queensland Thundermen are 1 week into the tenure of their new coach and are staying true to their positive possession-based style. They're back home this weekend in a crucial encounter in the Queensland Premier League.
After a tough loss to a struggling Ipswich FC, South West Queensland Thunder sit 7th in the FQPL 1, but they know they are capable of plenty more.
We need to do more, we need to try to score more. I think probably we have to recover a little bit of fitness at the moment. A couple of players had some little niggles, little injuries, and it's never easy when you can't give 100% during the game.
This weekend they play Moreton City Excelsior, and Coach Rundle is expecting a different game style from Ipswich's physicality.
They still want to play football. They want to pass the ball around, so they're probably a little bit more open than what Ipswich will be, which is good for us. It suits our passing game.
Even with a new coach, the Thunder continue to play the exciting football they are known for.
Our possession game is pretty much top of the league. We want to play good football, so it's really for us just to focus on that final ball and that final finishing.
Captain Mirko Crosciati continues to prove crucial. He's scored in the last 2 games.
I'm pretty sure it never happened in my life that I scored 2 weeks in a row, back-to-back into games, so that was pretty exciting.
I said to Mirko post-game that maybe I just need to play him as a striker. Look, he's very good on the ball, we know that. He's calm, he's composed, he's also aggressive.
Saturday's match kicks off at 2:15 at Clive Berghofer Stadium. Jack Lewis, 7 News.
The Toowoomba Mountaineers men will use this weekend's bye to sharpen up ahead of a big finish to their state basketball season. It comes after another heartbreaking loss to one of the QSL's powerhouses.
The Mountaineers men continue to match it with the best teams in the competition, but a nail-biting 2-point loss to the Gold Coast doesn't help the results tally.
It's frustrating, it's tough. I mean, it's the beauty of our sport is that games can be so close yet so far. It was a loss I walked away from actually pleased with the way that we played. Like, they beat us. So, previously it's been us not playing to our full potential.
The Mountaineers sit last in the QSL but are still pushing for finals. And the coach's message is all about defence.
It's about playing our style of defence and playing at a certain tempo that we like to play out offensively. And if we can do both of those things, we can win our last 4 games. There's no doubt about it. We do play 3 of the top 4 teams, so it's time to make a statement, and I think we have the team that can do that.
But before that, they have a bye this weekend. Connolly says the timing is both a blessing and a curse.
At the moment, it is a bit of a momentum disruptor, so I think we're playing well. Unfortunately, though, we are a little bit banged up. We have quite a bit of illness within the team.
They'll next be in action on Saturday, June 16, back at Clive Berghofer Arena when they play Moreton Bay. Jack Lewis, 7 News.
There we go, Brough and Joe. Get a good night's sleep. It's going to be a big night tomorrow. Bring on the Origin, guys.
Looking forward to it, yeah. Thank you, Nate.
And stay with us after the break. Livio has all the weather details for us.
Hi there, Livio Regano with tonight's weather. The change of season's been particularly dramatic this winter. After one of the warmest and dampest autumns in a long time, the sudden drop in temperatures hit like a ton of bricks and caught many of us off guard. Our jumpers still covered in dust and smelling musty from being stuffed in a closet all year. Overnight minimum temps have been the main talking point among townsfolk. The mercury fell to just 1 degree in Dalby and Warwick and 0 at Kingaroy this morning, but max temps were about average. To the satellite loop first, you can see, although it's clear across the eastern half of Queensland now, it will be short-lived. There's a new band of cloud moving in from the west that's linked to a cold front and trough, which will advance across the state tomorrow. There'll be cloudy periods, probably very little rain, maybe some showers on Thursday over southern parts, then clearing again after that. So today's chart is a little high sitting on top of southeast Queensland, keeping conditions not only dry, but also very light wind situation right across that area, as you normally get near the centre of high, and that's resulted in widespread frost right up to the central highlands and certainly over the Darling Downs and Granite Belt. Lots of areas as well between 1 and 3 degrees overnight. The chart for tomorrow has the high going offshore. We've got a new trough coming in from the west now and an upper level system following it. So there will be a little bit of cloud right up to the Capricorn region. We're expecting little if any rain though at this stage. And then on the outlook chart, we got the trough moving offshore. This will be the chance of showers during its passage in the southeast. Once it goes off, a new cold outbreak coming in for the weekend. Now the latest from Bond, the Darling Downs and Gunner Belt forecast. Showers developing tomorrow and maybe some frost in the far east. 19 degrees for Dalby, Gundawini as well. Toowoomba 17, Warwick 3 tonight, 19 tomorrow. And for the southeast coast, a fine and mostly sunny day. Gatton 22 degrees, same for Brisbane, Ipswich 23. Looking ahead now for Toowoomba, no rain of any note is being predicted for the next 7 days. At best, some heavy cloud on Saturday, but mostly sunshine after that. Expect to rug up this weekend. For Warwick, again, there's a little bit of a shaky period as you can see. Thursday might see a shower if we're lucky. Otherwise, it's dry and quite cold. And Dalby's the same. The coolest temperatures will actually be into the weekend, probably Friday with a top of just 16 and minimum temps 3 or 4 degrees. And that's all for the first Tuesday of winter. Hope you're enjoying the change of season. I certainly am. It's my favourite time of year in Queensland. Nice and cool, yet lots of sunshine. Catch you on the rebound. Now it's back to the team.
Great, thanks for that, Livio. And that's all from us for this Tuesday. Thanks for your company.
And of course, anything you'd like to watch again, try our 7plus app or our page, 7news.com.au. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.
Good night.